What's up, everybody? Today we got this, another one of these things. Or it's the same one, right? It's always here.
It's one of two that we
getting
have.
stuff fixed up. Today we're gonna walk you guys through some diag on it. We've got it's idling high, no check engine light, running rough, and won't hit full boost. So yeah, I guess let's just get straight into it, right?
Yes, first thing we're going to do is check and see if there's any codes pending.
Yes, pre-scan. Oh, show him the scanner, dude.
We got the scanner, don't you worry.
Show him it, dude. What
All
kind
right,
of
just so you guys know, too, this is a 2004 Porsche 911 Turbo.
Ah, yeah, see. I didn't even know what this thing is. It's just another silver one. They all look the same to me.
I mean, they all are pretty much silver. This is the blue silver, though. Or no, yellow silver? I don't remember which one it is. There's many different silvers for whatever reason. Where is it? So, didn't pop up with the thing. We're going to go down to Porsche here.
Just so you guys know, the scanner that we have here is the Harbor Freight T8.
Yeah, the Icon.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, we actually really like this one. It's an Android 10 platform, and the whole tablet's kind of unlocked.
Which we're not going to hold against it right now.
Well,
we're all Apple
there's no Apple scan tool, but you're gonna have to bleep that 'cause at the beginning of the video. Sorry. But yeah, so far this thing has done literally everything that we need. It hooks up real well to European cars and stuff. It gets through the Chrysler gateway crap, the Nissan gateway crap. It is nice to have that flexibility to like go in and like be able to toggle between the scan app and like going onto the internet, so we can pull up like all data and stuff on the tablet.
Yeah.
And I can just look through wiring schematics and stuff on there, and I can just sit inside a car and just melt my eyeballs into the tablet instead of walking back and forth to the computer, you know?
That is really nice, because I always hated having to walk 50 feet to get to the computer, and then I'd walk back, and I'm like, wait, what was that? And then...
Yeah. Well, there's all that space from here to there for us to forget why we're walking to the computer.
Yeah, there isn't any doorways, but I do forget just walking. On this one, once you've got the car selected, it says, 911 996. And then we've got all system code, detect equipped systems, the system select, special function, so on and so forth. This will just go through and start scanning.
So it's no engine codes.
Ooh,
Transmission.
we do have a transmission fault code.
ABS. Could
Well,
be related to one another.
I think the ABS is because we don't have the brake sensors hooked up in this because they melt. Airbag, that makes sense. It does have race seats in it.
It's gonna have the squib codes, dude.
Air conditioning codes? I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Frank, this one's got squib issues.
Oh, engine, no fault codes. There we go.
Well, the only thing we care about right now is got
No fault
nothing to
codes.
point us in a direction. That's fun.
Correct. Since we don't have any codes, we're going into the old school.
Well, hold on. Oh my
fuck.
God.
System
You spent all that time scanning all those codes and you didn't even look at any of them.
Well,
Just exit out and then you got to redo it.
It's touchscreen. I don't know how it works.
Jesus, dude. Who let the monkey use the tablet?
You?
Well, I had it set over here so I could grab it, and then you went
And you
over there and
didn't.
just grabbed it.
All right,
So,
what's the tranny got? DME communication disturbed.
oh,
39. It's an inactive code. This is for the transmission.
It's a can code.
All right, let's see what we got. What's air conditioning? I'm curious on what those codes are.
Well, now you got to go through and rescan it all.
No, I'm doing it one by one.
You got to scan them each individually.
I don't want to do that.
Hell yeah.
Fault code not defined, and we have two of them. All right, we'll see what's going on with that.
System overpressure.
All
Needs a kit.
right, let's see here. Convertible, we don't have those ones. ABS, that was another one that I care about. The airbag one, I know there's problems.
So essentially, you just cut out that whole last part of the video where he just looked at a bunch of random crap that has nothing to do with the issue, and then we'll just go straight.
I mean, we
to
don't
this
know if
point.
if the AC one has anything to do with the issue. AC does control idle.
We got a
sometimes.
couple CAN codes. I would suspect more that the battery voltage is a little funky.
We can test it for sure. Let's see.
You want to
All
pop the
data
frunk?
stream 1. We got to set up our fancy slinkies for turning this car on.
Oh, yeah.
Since now we have AC and heater, we have the doors shut.
Yeah. Yeah, we finally did it, guys. We've made it. We have air conditioning in our building. All right, so unrelated to the running issue, we do have a couple of those weird CAN codes that are stored in there. Typically, the first thing I check when we have a CAN issue, that you have like a couple codes popping up across different modules, is to just ensure the health of the battery and the alternator is good. The CAN stuff's very temperamental to voltage. So if your battery is not at, close to where it should be, or the alternator's not charging properly, you are going to see some of those weird faults pop up. And it's an easy, quick thing to check first before you start digging into, probing the DLC and doing all that and trying to see if you have actual module issues. So we've got the key on right now. We're on DC volts. We're at like 11.9 or something, 12. So we're going to go ahead and have Brandon crank it while it's set on min-max. And we're going to see if our voltage goes below like, about 10 volts. When he cranks it, it's going to tell us cranking health of the battery. So there you saw it was 10.1. It's not terrible. Now we're going to go back, see what our alternator's doing. 12.7. Let's see if it gets any better when idling. 12.8. 12.9. It's going up slowly. We'll give it a couple minutes. I'm going to leave this sitting here and we'll see what it gets up to. And then we'll also probably take this back there, switch it to AC, hook it up straight to the alternator and check the ripple on it real quick.
Around 13.4 is usually the low limit of okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much there with all the accessories on. We do have a actual battery tester. I think we've done a review on these or whatever in the past, but if you don't have one of these, a voltmeter is definitely the next best thing for testing batteries.
You can't get to anything on these cars.
Yeah, the alternator is over on this side underneath the oil filter and whatnot.
Okay.
Explain to them what they're doing.
So we have it on AC right now. And typically you would check this at the alternator, but you can't get to it on this car because they suck. But I'll typically set it on min-max. We're seeing 20 millivolts right now. I want it to show as a... There we go. No, it's fine. I was getting tripped out because the decimal point was...
Oh. So now it's 0.02 volts.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah,
that's
20.
way too high. No, yeah, it's pretty...
Average. It looks pretty stable.
Yeah. Alternator's three-phase current, right? It's fucking whatever. And the rectifier's flipping it up to the tops. And if you have a diode that's failing, it's going to be pulling that voltage down a lot, right? So you're going to be getting like the ripple's going to be jumping around a lot.
I feel like you need a whiteboard.
Yes.
Getting a little technical here, but yeah.
Yeah.
So somewhere around 18 thousandths to 20 thousandths.
Around 1 volt is where it starts to get like iffy, like you might have an issue.
Oh, so that's more than fine.
Yeah, and then there are some cars where that's normal, but I know that 2 volts is like for sure the cutoff of like,
It's really bad.
But yeah.
Okay.
So we can hook up the tester
Yeah.
so that we could show it in more, you know, if you have a battery / alternator tester. I just did it with the multimeter because it's a little bit easier for you to, you know, acquire one of those, and you probably have one laying around your house as opposed to a freaking battery tester. Where's that at?
Oh, it's back in the drawer.
I'm gonna just do a comparison. We're gonna hold it at 2,000 RPM.
All right.
So we're gonna go ahead and use our little battery alternator tester here just to show you the difference in simplicity, I guess. So this is checking ripple right now.
Okay.
Turn off AC, turn off headlights.
Off.
Off. 2,500 RPM. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Look at that. So this is kind of concurrent with... All right. Okay. This is concurrent with what we were showing you guys on the multimeter, right? At the beginning when we were just DC volts. The ripple was fine, because if the ripple was an issue, it would have said, you know, ripple excessive, right? But our charging voltage is a little sketchy. I have seen this thing lie to us before, though, and say that it's charging low when it's actually not. So every car is a little bit different. 13.5, 13.4 might be totally fine for this car.
Pretty much with the canned stuff, there's not much of a problem going on here.
Unless the alternator is actually
That's
charging
true.
low.
Back to the problem at hand. So we're going to go back there, and I was looking at some of the data stream while it was running. Nothing seemed super awry. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually smoke test it. And you can get some decently, you know, cheap smoke testers on Amazon or wherever on the internet. And they actually work really well. So we're going to hook one up and see what we find at the engine. So I'm going to take out the air box because kind of not really needed to check that. It's just an open box. So we're going to unplug the MAF, and then the air box in this thing is actually pretty easy to take out.
Okay.
Like I said, this is very easy. Once that bolt is out, and once the clamp back there is loose, it comes out.
So we couldn't get the cone to seal up on the throttle body, so we're using our little inflatable...
The air inlet, throttle body's over here.
Oh.
So this is where it comes in, goes down to the turbos pressurize it, goes through the intercoolers, comes through these two pipes, and then gets wide into the throttle body.
I keep forgetting this has a turbo on it.
It has two turbos.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is looking for...
We couldn't get this thing to seal up.
Yeah. There we go. So this is just pumping in smoke and a little bit of pressure. That way we can hopefully see a leak come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so if it's coming from the intercoolers, it'll actually be kind of like over by the taillights on the quarter panel area. Anywhere else is going to be up in here somewhere. We're going to start seeing smoke bellow out somewhere. I don't know how well, can you get your camera to see any of the smoke coming out right now? Yeah, you can see like the little hiss of mist coming out. So it's back behind the throttle body. Ah! I see it. Yeah, so that black thing, it's kind of like way down in the center there.
That black thing?
The black thing.
It's all black.
Yeah, so it's actually a, what are they called? It only allows vacuum to go one way.
A check valve?
That one, check valve. So a hose popped off of a check valve back here.
So for reference, typically with a diag, right, if we're not really getting a whole lot of like electrical things pointing us in one direction, we're going to have to kind of revert back to things that are a bit more mechanical. Because we were having, the issues that we were having that we listed at the beginning. The first kind of logical step for us was to go to a smoke test and check for a vacuum leak, right? That was kind of the easiest, quickest thing that we could do, and sure enough, kind of gave us a clue. So hopefully that's all it is.
Yeah, so we're going to be putting that back on.
And, a little bit of backstory about the car too is that this guy does track it. He does typically run it with a high boost tune on it. And when you do things like that, you can have issues like this happen where vacuum hoses explode and pop off because they weren't really designed to hold the pressure that...
Yeah, engineers only went so far on their testing.
Yeah.
So now is just getting in there, putting that back on, making sure that it doesn't come off again, and then retesting it with the smoke tester to make sure we don't have any other surprises waiting for us, because that's happened many times before. So this will give you a much better view. You can probably get the camera in there way easier too. But right there is the check valve, and it's the hose that popped off. So there actually looks like there's another hose that popped off next to it. So there are all these little rubber elbows that go to plastic lines and go to other places. And I think this one, this one wasn't hooked up to anything either. And there's a little tube back there that's hard to see as well that's popped off. So these two hoses popped off. I'm going to clean everything because, like we said, there is a good amount of oil. We'll just have to let him know and keep an eye on the turbos. I know I said we're going to do zip ties, and it's not the greatest option. But I can't get zip ties back there, especially on the second hose that we found off. So we weren't going to super glue it because I want it to come off potentially in the future. But we got a Q-tip, and I ended up having to use both sides because the tip of this Q-tip was too big for the second hose that we found off. And we smeared a little bit of a Honda Bond on there. So now...
In layman's terms, that's RTV.
RTV, it's the best RTV that you could ever purchase. There is no RTV equal to Honda Bond. This is not a paid advertisement for Honda Bond, but we would gladly accept one.
In engineering terms, that is room temperature vulcanizing.
Nobody cares about what the actual letters stand for.
I know, but we have a wide demographic of people that watch the videos, Brandon, and they might appreciate to know what the acronym stands for.
Well, I'd appreciate them not needing all of that information.
That's why they watch YouTube, though.
Okay.
They're sponges for information. They're trying to learn. They're desperate to learn, dude.
They're desperate. I'm going to put this back together because I'm desperate to make money. Well, so we got those two hooked up, and then I see smoke coming out still, but not from these two hoses. It looks like it's something further in the back. So we're going to have to lower the engine. I'm going to look at the PCV system because remember we were talking about the oil and stuff like that. This is another reason why we're going to look at the PCV. So the oil fill, the oil cap, is leaking smoke, which means the air that we're putting into the intake is going into the crankcase. So I'm going to look over the PCV routing, which should be up here, and figure out what we need to look at back there that is causing it to back purge into the crankcase. Everything's back together. We got the vacuum leaks taken care of. The vacuum leak that was around the coupler for the back of the intake tube, or the turbo inlet, snugged up, didn't leak no more. There is still some smoke coming out of the oil cap. However, with the oil air separator, I'm not entirely sure when the valve closes in it for boost. Considering the smoke tester only really does maybe a PSI. so it might not be pushing enough pressure to close the valve. We're gonna go drive it, make sure that we hit boost and the car idles fine. We don't have any codes or anything like that popping up. And I will say, while I was back there, because it is very far back there, I dropped a socket. It wasn't a 10 millimeter, it was a 7. And if you want to watch a video of me getting that, we do have a little short video that you can check out and watch the struggle. So I'm gonna put the intake back in, and then I'm gonna bleed the brakes. We're gonna go for a drive. But I did mention to him, it does have 100,000 miles on it. There is some oil going through the intake. The oil air separator might be a thing, like a maintenance item here in the future to do, but we're gonna see if it's actually causing any problem right now. I know the vacuum leaks that we found would definitely cause the problem he was complaining about. So we're just gonna, it might be something that we can hold off on for now. But thanks for watching. If this helped you find any kind of vacuum leaks or other driving issues with your car, you're welcome. If not, come back, we'll have more Diag stuff.